And welcome back to News On. We now want to continue our coverage of the chaos in Afghanistan with a woman whose family has been and continues to be impacted by the events unfolding there. Joining us live is the wife of current Marine who served in Afghanistan, Samantha Weaver. Thank you so much for joining us here on News On, and thank you and your husband for your service to this country. I want to begin there.
Of course, thank you so much.
Now, I think the biggest question I want to ask is the president has already sent more U.S. troops there to Afghanistan before the withdrawal. Has your husband been called to go back? And if not, are you concerned that he will be?
So as of right now, we're one of the lucky ones that he gets to still be here. But it's a very real fear every day that in a moment's notice, he can go. It's his job. He's one of the frontliners. So while we have him here today, we might not tomorrow or next week. So we're still up in the air. We have no idea.
What is that like for you emotionally, for you and your husband, not knowing, just being on standby, if you will?
It's hard. We have 3 small kids. So for me, it's more of a fear for them because they don't understand what's going on and there's no way to explain it to them. My husband's been preparing by writing them letters. It's something that all like men and women that we know do combat deployments. They write letters in case they don't come home for their kids. So he started writing letters to our boys for graduation, when they get married, if they have kids, stuff like that.
I can't even imagine what that is like.
Mm-hmm.
And I am sure that you know people who have been called back.
Yes. And they didn't get a chance to write their letters. And so that's been really hard to kind of talk through with my friends right now as they, because there's no communication, so they haven't heard from their spouse in days.
So overall, and I do want to go to the Americans that are there, but overall, what is your perspective and your husband's perspective? I mean, military families, you are like a special group. You really are. What is it like watching those images? Because I'm sure it's a lot different for you and your husband and your friends than it is for us.
It depends really where you're watching them. We can't stand to turn on the news because it's painting a different picture of what is really happening, which is kind of a slap in the face to everyone that's ever served over there. My husband, when he went, he came home without friends. And so it's really hard for him to see that. But he also knows that, the job isn't done. And for him, it's one of those things where if he goes, he's ready to do his job and come back home. But for me, it's different. It's different. It's scary. And I feel like we just live in this constant state of anxiety. Every time he calls me, I don't want to pick up because I don't know what he's going to say to me. And looking at photos and stuff, that it kind of triggers it a little bit. But
I'm sure. Yeah, I would imagine so. So what are your thoughts? Again, we were talking to Heather Mullins just moments ago to the estimated, and I say estimated because apparently the White House can't give us an exact number of Americans that are still over there. You have the U.S. Embassy saying we can't ensure your safety to get to the airport. What is your thoughts for those Americans that are still there who are desperately trying to flee this country? And again, for your friends that are serving there right now?
I think that as a nation, we should and will hopefully do better, but we're under an administration that I feel doesn't care as much as they should. When I talk to my husband about it, he says it best. He's like, I will go back and I will get every single one of them because that is my job and it's all for one and one for all. And I just pray that everyone can get out safely because that is not a place that you want to be in right now. no matter how the news depicts it. It's not, and we know that from people that are there. Women are being killed, children are being killed, people, the Afghani army are being tracked down and killed. The literal people that helped bring people like my husband home so he could be a dad and a husband are being tracked down and killed for helping us. And we have to do better. We can't leave our people behind. We're not that country, and the whole world is watching us fail miserably in that department.
You have the president who went on ABC News talking to George Stephanopoulos, saying that he is now extending that deadline at the end of the month to ensure that they will not leave until all Americans have left that country safely. But it's not just Americans. They've also made a promise to Afghans that are those who would wish to leave will be able to leave, and also those who helped the U.S. military, those Afghans, interpreters, would also be able to seek refuge as well. How confident are you that this administration is going to be able to live up to that end of the bargain?
I mean, they haven't lived up to any of their promises yet. So I would say not that confident. I'm hoping that there's a change of attitude from our administration, and we do better moving forward, because right now I don't trust anything that our administration says.
You know, Samantha, we were talking about the Taliban seeming to say one thing but doing another. We've talked about people risking their lives, clinging on to an airplane, human remains being found, children screaming in the street, women being beaten. And yet the Taliban continues to say that it's living up to its end of the bargain. And you're saying that the images and what you're hearing on news is not an accurate depiction. So for the people that are watching this news program right now, what is the message that you want them to hear that they're not hearing on some of those mainstream media outlets?
I feel like on the mainstream media right now, they're trying to depict this peaceful transition of power almost to the Taliban, and that is not the case at all. Again, like, you have women and children being murdered, you have Christians being murdered, you have, and for me, one of the hardest parts is the people that literally helped our American people come home being tracked down door to door and murdered. Just this morning, I got a DM from someone on my Instagram saying that her husband has been there for X amount of days, and he already told her, I don't think I'll ever forget what I've seen over here. And I think that is so important, that you need to turn off your TV to those news outlets and start finding truth.
Yeah, and PTSD is a real thing, and my heart goes out to you. I know this is probably extremely difficult for you and your family. I can only imagine, but I do appreciate you sharing your thoughts, your feelings, and I'm going to leave it here. I want to ask you one last question, though. If you had the ear of the Commander-in-Chief, President Joe Biden, what would you tell him right now?
Do better, sir. Our military deserves it. They fought for 20 years. They deserve it.
Samantha Weaver, thank you so much, and God bless you and your family, and please thank your husband on behalf of all of us here at Real America's Voice for his service. We really do appreciate it, and we hope he doesn't get that call, but we appreciate everything he has done. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And PTSD is a real thing, and that is why we're going to be talking about